A woman's voice carries wisdom, it carries discernment, it carries healing, and sometimes it carries pain that has waited a long time to be released. La, da, 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 da. Blessings, it's your girl, Yapah Judah, and this is Evolving with Yapah Judah. We are in the last day of December 2025, and today we are going to talk about something both powerful and deeply personal, a woman's voice. It holds the words we spoke too soon and the ones we never spoke at all. It carries prayers whispered through tears and truths we didn't have the strength to name at the time. Our voices remember seasons of silence just as much as seasons of sound. For many of us, our voices have been shaped by life, by motherhood, by grief, by illness, by love, by loss, by faith. Some of us were taught to be quiet. Some of us learned to speak only when invited. And some of us had to lose ourselves before we ever found our voice again. In this season, I believe the Most High is gently inviting women to listen first to Him, to their own hearts, and then to speak from a place of wisdom, not striving, from healing, not hurt, from obedience, not fear. So today, I'm joined by three amazing women, my daughter Kendra, my niece Knowledge, and my daughter-in-love Camille, who have each walked their own path toward finding and honoring their voices. Their stories aren't about perfection or performance. They're about presence, about learning when to speak, when to wait, and when to trust the Most High with the words He's placed inside of us. I'm so excited for this conversation. Let's dive in and hear what these phenomenal women have to share. My prayer is that as you listen, you won't just hear their voices, you'll begin to hear your own more clearly too. Let's get into today's conversation. Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello, hello.
Thank you for being here with me. We have a couple of. All right. So, today's topic is a woman's voice. And I had, a couple of questions that I wanted to throw out there because I feel like a woman's voice is something that is so powerful and meaningful for us as women.
You throw, we'll catch.
Okay. So the first question that I have for you is, when you hear the phrase, a woman's voice, what does it mean to you personally, spiritually, and in this season of your life? And so, which one of you ladies would like to answer that first question?
I'll go first. I actually answered those three questions with one word each. So personally, I definitely said that it was important because growing up, I didn't feel like it was important. Only because I was taught not to speak not to speak unless spoken to. If I had questions, I couldn't really, I couldn't question adults and things. It was kind of like one of those things: do as I say, not as I do. And if I had a certain, I was always very curious, very curious. So because I was brought up with not necessarily expressing how I felt about things, I was kind of like made to go along with the program. So I grew up thinking, okay, well, my opinion really doesn't matter. And throughout that season of my life, I didn't really think that my voice was important.
Mm-hmm.
And so going through and experiencing the things that I went through and realizing, okay, I had to kind of, and this may not even pertain to everyone, but I realized that I had to go through a lot of isolation in order to actually find myself. And sometimes that's what it requires you to find yourself. So that was something that's important, is what was personally for me. Spiritually, a woman's voice, intuitive, because women, we were created to be intuitive, to be able to kind of read what's not there. And so that was something that I had to actually find again, because women were naturally intuitive. But when you've been taught not to think for yourself, or if you've been taught to follow and not necessarily listen to the inner voice, we tend to lose that intuition. And in this season of my life, I'm realizing that my words and my voice is very powerful, and I can speak into existence the things that I want. So,
Thank you, Knowledge. Who wants to go next?
How y'all doing? This is Kendra. So as far as personally for my voice, I would say ever since I was a child, I felt silenced personally. Maybe I was just probably just too active as a child, but I remember vividly being told, please be quiet, please stop, please relax, being very annoying, please shut up, da 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 da. So that actually carried on into like every aspect of my life. Even at school, not being heard or being told, you're not telling the truth. But really, it's on my own truth. So you can't tell me that's not my own truth. So I feel like all of that just led up to how I reacted as an adult. So if I'm not being heard, I feel like I had to yell over people. So if I yell it, I'll be able to get what I need to say out, and you're going to hear me because it's going to be loud enough so you can hear me. Now, was I consciously doing it because I wanted to anger people? No, I consciously did it because I was like, I have to get these words out so I can be heard. Which I realized it was becoming rude. It was becoming a rude thing that I was doing. So like it started to become like, oh, now I'm cutting people off so I could be heard. Oh, now I'm yelling and cutting people off so I could be heard. And learning that about myself, I had to like come to terms with like, okay, maybe we need to change some things and some generational curses. And that's why I have taught my children to advocate for themselves. So if you have any questions, you ask those questions. If you're confused, you ask questions. If you have a statement because you feel like what's being said isn't true, speak. Please speak up. It's very important to speak up because it's very important to be heard, because if not, no one knows what's going on. That's what I say, closed mouths don't get fed. How am I supposed to know if you're not saying it? You know? And then as far as spiritually, I will say what I've gathered from reading the Bible, reading the word, women are supposed to be gentle, nurturing, kind, gentle souls, a voice of reasoning, like in the background, almost in the background, but the strongest voice there, because 9 times out of 10, for an example, your husband's not thinking straight. He has all these different just misguided thoughts, but yet doesn't know what to do. But the wife is the voice of reasoning, calms those confused, intrusive thoughts down, saying, let's take a second. Let's take a deep breath. You might want to go down this path, but this path will be more easy, more calm, more peaceful, and you will still get to that goal. And as far as for this season, I feel I find myself not yelling anymore, not trying to be heard anymore. My thing is, if that person does not want to hear what I have to say, they weren't meant to hear what I had to say in the first place. So With that being said, going forward, Kendra speaks up for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can observe that this person is not really interested in what I'm saying, then it wasn't meant for them to hear anyway. And that's it.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think the key takeaway there was turning trauma into life lessons that you then taught your kids, so they don't have to repeat the same lesson over and over and over.
Yes.
I mean, it's already been learned.
Very important to kill those generational curses, because I feel like if you continue down that path, when will it get better? If it just get worse, So
Which
I think it's very important.
Kind of goes into my point of view. If I can describe how I feel about that, just like knowledge, I use one word and I put sacred. And a woman's voice to me is sacred because it's something that I want to protect. I wrote down I want to protect the wisdom, the knowledge, and the voice.
Oh, yes.
It's something that's very important to me growing up. I've always been, and people used to make fun of me all the time because even my husband now, like he asked me once, "Do you have any friends your age?" Because I've always wanted to be around older women because I love their voice. I love the knowledge that they was willing to share with me. I love any lesson that they was willing to put down on the table. I was willing to pick it up. That didn't necessarily mean that I had to walk in the same footsteps as them, but I was willing to listen. And because of a lot of those lessons that they have already learned, it helped for me to pivot sometimes and not make, sometimes poor decisions due to me being surrounded by women who were willing to share their voices with me. And the season that I'm currently in my life right now is that I feel like I've gained way more understanding of myself and the women around me. I don't have to be like other women. I've embraced, their voices and how they see certain things. We may not have to agree to it, but I've embraced them. And I feel like, and I'm in a season where I'm willing to just learn so much more. And I understand that as I get older, things will not be the same. So how I feel today may not be how I feel in 10 years. I may view things through a different lens because I went through different challenges in my life. And so the challenges that I went through in my 20s, I'm not dealing with in my 30s. More so because I don't care, and maybe as I get older, I'll continue to not care. But that's where I'm at. I'm at a woman's voice is sacred, no matter how many times people try to silence it or make you feel like you're unseen and you're being unheard. There's so much there, and it's so important that we're able to not only share how we feel but listen. And I feel like a lot of times people want to talk, but they're not willing to listen. And if you just sit and listen, I promise you're gonna get something out of it.
That is so true.
I am loving this conversation so much. Okay, so you guys heard from Knowledge, from Kendra, and from Camille. Now, a woman's voice, what that means to me personally is that it's important to get out what has been deep inside of me. Like, I need to be able to speak my truth without fear of people looking down on me. I felt like that growing up. And being a young wife and mother, learning how to be a wife and a mother was really hard. I got married at 18 and then had all four of my children by the time I was 24. So my voice, I didn't really have much of a voice because I was trying to figure out how to be a wife and a mother at a young age. And spiritually, I was searching for the Most High, but not knowing how to go about it at that time. And in the season of my life, I'm 56 years old. And I have so much gratitude in my heart for still being here and for all the lessons that I had to learn through all the trials that I had to go through to this point. And I thank the Most High that I'm a much better woman. And I pray that I'm a much better mother and grandmother. Yeah.
You're definitely more gentle.
Yeah.
Way more gentle.
Yeah. Because, when you're going through and you're trying to raise your children,
Yes.
you have no idea what you're doing, but you're trying to do it to the best of your ability.
So I think I think it was Damon Wayans who just said in an interview, someone asked him, well, why are you, his kids, they raised a question, why are you so much more gentle with, our children, with your grandchildren? He said, because now I can redo what I did wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing I was telling my children about my mom. It's like growing up, she was like, I could tell she was tired and frustrated. And that's why she reacted a lot the way that she did. I said, but now I see it now because of how I am as a mother. And she's so much more gentler with my kids than she was with us. But I was just like, I understand now because me raising my children, I get super frustrated, especially at the time when I was a single mother. And I was just like, look, I'm just trying to figure out how we going to get through the day. And then still having to deal with, temper tantrums and, all the screaming and crying. It's just like all that noise. It's like, oh, I just need quiet. But like just seeing how gentle my mom is with my kids, I can tell that she is like more at peace now. Way more at peace now. She got
That was a conversation I had with my oldest because her thing was, why don't you, because she's only 19, but she sees the difference in how I raise her younger sisters now. And I had a conversation. I let her know, well, as you get older, you start to learn. So you start to learn. I had to even thank her for being so patient. Even, as a kid, because and kids need to hear that too. Thank you for being patient, because she was my first, and I was literally not knowing what I was doing. She was kind of like the experimental child. And so now, the experimental child, but now it's like, okay, they don't get whoopings and they don't get timeouts because now I know how to talk with them. Now, the things that I've learned allowed me to evolve.
Right.
So,
could you get that aha moment? And it's like you'll be in the midst of doing something, and I say all the time, like, oh my goodness, I'm acting like my mom right now, and I'll be sitting there and I was like, aha, I understand now why she did it like this.
Yes.
And though I may not agree with all of her choices as far as as raising us, I understand. And a lot of times people do the best they can with what they know. And you have to think about the limited resources our grandparents had in raising our parents, and then our parents with the limited resources that they had in raising us. And even now with us raising our children, we have a plethora of resources, but then it can be overwhelming because too many resources.
Yeah.
And so you really have to kind of hone in on not just what kind of parent you want to be, what kind of person do you want to be that they will mimic. And that's what I try to focus in on, is that a lot of the lessons that my parents utilized worked. I'm a good kid. Okay.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
But I still want to make sure that I'm not passing down, I'm breaking generational curses, like you said earlier, Kendra, and that I'm also creating space for new things that me and my kids and my husband, that we can all learn together and bond now and not trying to be repairing, wasting time in repairing relationships,
Right.
and trying to gain relationships. Let's start that now.
Right.
Where they can come to me now.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's the beauty in the woman's voice.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, if you all are enjoying this conversation, we have more in store to bring to you on the next episode of A Woman's Voice. So stay tuned for more. It's your girl, Yapah Judah, and with much gratitude, I send love your way. La, da, 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 da. I'll talk to you soon. Peace and blessings.